Police say that after Jennifer Lynn Morrissey murdered her meal ticket, she tried to make the crime scene look like a robbery gone wrong. She has since admitted to being responsible for the shooting, but maintains it was a kill or be killed moment. Well, I'm not buying it, and neither are Pennsylvania prosecutors. After she killed him, prosecutors say she took her sugar daddy's phone and his laptop so that she could bury the evidence of her threatening messages in the backyard of her new man. And then to eliminate any evidence of gunshot residue, her new man peed on her hand. Wait. So Murder Bae got a new boyfriend, but she got mad when the sugar daddy wanted to cut her off, and then new boyfriend is cool with all of this, so much so that he's playing forensic scientist accomplice? Lord. At any rate, Morrissey has been charged with burglary, possession of instruments of crime, tampering, or fabricating physical evidence along with murder. Since we're on the topic of white women getting beside themselves, one of them got too drunk at a Miami, Virginia Tech football game last week, so much so that local police had to carry the 30-year-old woman out of the stadium. Yes, carry. And that's when she started trying to slap one of the officers. She missed the officer with her first drunken slap, but on her way back with that backhand, she hit this black man in the face. Check out this video of what happened next. That was quick. That video was like supposed to be like 44 seconds. 44 seconds. What? Okay. Anyway, did y'all see how she got knocked all the way out? Like, she did not see that punch coming at all. At any rate, I'm surprised because she actually was charged with felony battery on a police officer. Now, with regard to the black officer who delivered that punch, the police department are actually reviewing the incident. What's to review? She swung, he swung. He was in fear for his life. Duh. Case closed. I mean, we've been through this a billion times, police review committee peoples. Officers don't have to exercise restraint or match force. They gotta do what they gotta do, remember? To keep thugs in their place, right? Y'all just pull out that self-defense, fear for my life, boilerplate language that y'all always be using in these police killings of black people while they're running away with their hands up. Don't try to get all respectable and noble now. Speaking of respectability, in Virginia, a woman has been fired from her job after a picture went viral where she was giving President Donald Trump the middle finger to his motorcade as it passed her on her bike. Her name is Julie Briskman, and she was cycling in Virginia last month when she offered the nice gesture in a gut reaction to Trump's policies. She said, "He was passing by and my blood just started to boil. I'm thinking DACA recipients are getting kicked out. He's pulled ads for open enrollment and Obamacare. 1/3 of Puerto Rico has power. I'm thinking, and he's at the damn golf course again." So she was fired after she self-disclosed to her employer about that photo going viral. Turns out she's in the marketing and communications business, so I guess her employer was like, "You should have known better." In politics, Indiana police chief has done something unprecedented after a fatal police shooting. Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Chief Brian Roach has recommended this week that the 2 officers involved in the fatal shooting of black man Aaron Bailey be fired. The announcement came nearly a week after special prosecutor assigned to the case declined to file charges against the officers. The prosecutor said that he simply did not have enough evidence to prove that it wasn't self-defense beyond a reasonable doubt. Bailey was shot and killed by officers on June 29th of this year after he drove away from a traffic stop, but no weapon was ever found on him or in his car. Chief Roach and his executive staff met to review the Firearms Review Board's findings. He decided that there wasn't sufficient reason for the officers to even believe that deadly force was necessary, nor to believe that Bailey posed a threat of serious bodily injury to the officers or any bystanders. Chief Roach was quoted as saying this, There were other reasonable options available to the officers in this incident. Such harm to the public trust requires the separation of the two officers from their employment with IMPD. Effective immediately, Chief Roach suspended the officers without pay and has explicitly and expressly recommended their termination to the Civilian Police Merit Board. I'd like to commend the police chief for stopping their pay and for strongly recommending their firing, but it still shows that there is a disconnect in our legal system, that prosecutors can get jammed up or allow themselves to get jammed up when it comes to dealing with the issue of self-defense. Maybe we could feature this topic on the Sunday edition, get some legislators or a prosecutor in here and really duke it out on this issue. Speaking about cops getting put out of their jobs, the two Brooklyn cops charged with raping a handcuffed teenage girl in the back of their police van have voluntarily quit their jobs, police said earlier this week. Disgraced officers Eddie Martins and Richard Hall showed up at police headquarters to resign under pressure because they had already been charged with the crime and suspended without pay. If they hadn't quit, they would have faced a departmental trial on November 9th, in addition to their criminal case. They were charged with the following: rape, kidnapping, and official misconduct. Prosecutors say that the former NYPD detectives arrested an 18-year-old woman after stopping her car and finding some weed and anti-anxiety pills in her purse. Test shows that DNA of both officers were found in the teenager, and the former police officers are claiming their acts were consensual as a defense. Prosecutors ain't buying that defense. No boilerplate language for y'all, because the two officers were of color and they learned that them rules ain't for us. In international news, African girls were found dead in the Mediterranean Sea. The bodies of 26 teenage African girls have been found in the sea, Italian police have said, ages between 14 years old and 18 years old. They are thought to have been migrants trying to reach Europe from Libya. The girls, believed to be from both Niger and Nigeria, were transferred to the city by a Spanish Navy ship that had been conducting rescue operations in the Mediterranean. Libya is a well-known jumping off point for migrants seeking refuge on European shores, and many from the sub-Saharan Africa are fleeing war and persecutions. Others from impoverished nations in Africa, the Middle East, and South Asia have all made this treacherous journey in search of better economic opportunities. The North African country is a hotbed for human traffickers whose network of smuggling operations have gone wildly unchecked due to Libya's lack of effective central governance. Investigators are currently trying to discover whether these victims were tortured or sexually abused. In today's world, the terms mixed race and biracial are most used to describe people with parents of two different races. But when it comes to the prospect of making babies for a royal bloodline, no matter how white you may look, that one-drop rule gets enforced real quick. In the UK, the controversy and the relationship between Suits actress Meghan Markle and Prince Harry outlines that the country's own racial issues, they have them pretty big now that their dating speculations have been confirmed. UK press has been savage. You think that in this post-racial age, even the most right-wing press would not highlight Markle's race directly as being a problem. However, a notorious British right-wing paper, the Daily Mail, published a piece on Markle and her family where they hired a genealogist to go back for generations and contrast the distance between the royals' heritage and hers. In a second article, they pushed the envelope way too far with the headline, "Harry's girl is almost straight out of Compton." They focus on an area in Los Angeles near where Markle's mother lives, drawing on well-worn stereotypes of violence, gangs, and crime to question whether this is a place the Queen would pop around for tea. Prince Harry has since issued a statement to the UK press when they tried to make a big deal out of her being black, letting them know they are not to engage in racial disparagement of his girlfriend. In business news, the federal government is demanding that AT&T sell CNN if it wants to merge with Time Warner. Sources tell CNBC that the Justice Department is demanding AT&T sell Turner Broadcasting, which includes CNN, or sell DirecTV for the approval of the $85 billion merger with Time Warner. AT&T Chairman and CEO Randall Stephenson said in a statement that he has never offered to sell CNN, nor does he have any intention to do so. Antitrust lawyers were scratching their heads too Wednesday over reports that the government was insisting AT&T sell its key assets to get the approval to buy Time Warner. Government opposition to this mega merger like this ultimately center on concerns of, will it reduce competition and raise prices for consumers? But antitrust lawyers say that in recent years, the remedy for these types of concerns in mergers in the media industry have been a consent decree that the acquiring company promised not to engage in anti-competitive behaviors. Antitrust lawyers think that this is all political, especially in light of President Trump repeatedly criticizing CNN as fake news on his social media Twitter account in the past year. I think this is worth an in-depth look too for an episode of the Sunday edition, but you never know. We'll have to see about that. In other business news, shoppers at the fashion retailer Zara in Istanbul have found unusual tags in their garments that have complaints on them by Turkish workers who say that they have not been paid for the merchandise in their store. Workers from an outsourced manufacturer for Zara and other retailers have been going into Zara shops and leaving these tags inside of the clothes. The tag reads, "I made this item you are going to buy, but I didn't get paid for it." And it urges shoppers to back their campaign and pressure Zara into paying them. The tags also say that the manufacturer owes them 3 months of pay as well as severance allowance. 3 months of pay? That's crazy. Well, if Zara goes out of business, you can find a new clothing line at your neighborhood Kroger. The nation's largest supermarket chain said last week that the brand will first make its debut at Fred Meyer and Kroger Marketplace stores, totaling about 300 locations around the country. It will be a casual collection that spans from children to teens to adults. In recent years, Kroger has sold some clothing under different national brands, but they've made this move as traditional grocery chains have faced increasing competition from all fronts, like Walmart to Amazon and to high-end grocery stores. But Amazon's purchase of Whole Foods over the summer has dramatically raised concerns about the viability of traditional grocery stores. I kind of wonder where Kroger's going to fall in the totem pole of superstore clothing. You know, we've got Target and Walmart and Meijer, and we know Target is definitely at the top of that totem pole. For me, Walmart is like way down here. So I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Y'all buying clothes from Kroger? I know a specific FCN talent has admitted to buying clothes from Kroger, but I won't say his name. When we get back from commercial break, I'm going to tell you about every single Black, Latino, Arab, Muslim, LGBT woman and Asian who had a wonderful historic win in this year's 2017 elections. We will be back after this break.
My face, the next question needs to be yours on my place. Your chocolate skin, your chocolate skin. Turn the lights low, don't let me tell you again. I wanna put my mouth on your chocolate skin, your chocolate skin.
Of governments, your cover-ups of the murder of innocent ordinary citizens, all for the sake of profit. This is why we at F Society have decided you must die. We are malicious and hostile. We do not compromise. We are relentless. We will not stop until every tentacle of your evil monstrosity is sliced off at the nerve. Consider yourself warned.
And welcome FCN Prime News. I'm Tresnay here with your current events, politics, and business news every week on Mondays and Thursdays. If you're just now joining us, welcome, and join us in the comments with your thoughts and your jokes, and share and tag your friends in the post so they can join in the conversation with you. Now, this week was pretty eventful in the area of politics. Many cities and states held elections for various positions, and it was a historic night for so many people, as a lot of first happens from members of the global majority. And I am here to highlight and honor each of the Black, African, Asian, Arab, Muslim, Latino, Latina, LGBTQ, and women trailblazers who won on election night. I took a long time to pull this together and to try to ensure that I didn't leave anyone out. So please, if I didn't honor someone, please, please, please just tag them in the thread and I will be sure to recognize them. I certainly didn't do it on purpose. All right, so I'm going to list everybody by state in alphabetical order, and please, please hold your applause until the very end. First up, the state of Georgia. In Milledgeville, Georgia, it elected its first female mayor, who just happens to be Black, Mary Copeland. In Statesboro, Georgia, they elected their first Black mayor, Jonathan McCollier. In Norcross, Virginia, they elected their first Black mayor, Craig Newton. And in Cairo, Georgia, they elected their first Black mayor, Booker Gaynor, who also happens to only be 27 years old. In the state of Iowa, Iowa City has elected its first Sudanese American immigrant to its city council, Mazahir Salih. In the state of Louisiana, the city of Baton Rouge elected its first Black woman mayor, Sharon Weston Broome. In the state of Massachusetts, the residents of Framingham, Massachusetts, elected their first mayor in the municipality's 317-year history. They just became an official independent municipality. They elected a Black woman, Yvonne Spicer. In the state of Minnesota, in the city of St. Paul, elected its first Black mayor, Melvin Carter. The city of Minneapolis elected Andrea Jenkins, who is now the first openly trans woman of color elected to the city council of any major U.S. city, and the first openly trans person of color elected to any office in the United States. In the state of Montana, the city of Helena has elected its first Black mayor, Wilmot Collins. In the state of New Hampshire, Joyce Craig has become the first woman elected mayor in the city of Manchester. In the state of New Jersey, there was a lot to celebrate. The city of Hoboken has elected its first Sikh mayor, Ravi Bala, who is truly the first Sikh to be elected in all of New Jersey history. The city of Hoboken also elected its first Black woman to sit on its city council, Vanessa Falco. And the state of New Jersey elected its first Black woman to serve as New Jersey's lieutenant governor, Sheila Oliver. In the state of North Carolina, the city of Charlotte elected its first Black female mayor, Vi Lyles. In the state of Pennsylvania, in the city of Erie, they elected the first transgender man to win a seat on the Erie School Board. In Pennsylvania as well, his name is Tyler James Titus. He's the first only trans elected official in the state. In the state of South Carolina, in the city of Georgetown, they elected their first Black mayor, Brandon Barber. In the state of Utah, Michelle Kafusi became the first woman elected as mayor in the 157-year history of the city of Provo, which is the third largest city in Utah. In the state of Virginia, they went ham on the diversity in its election wins. Danica Roem is the first openly trans woman seated in the U.S. State House, defeating the very man who introduced the anti-trans bathroom bill in Virginia. Right. Justin Fairfax, he was just elected as Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, the first Black man at 38 years old. Elizabeth Guzman is one of two of the first Hispanic women to be elected to the Virginia House of Delegates, along with Hala Ayala. I hope I pronounced that right. She too was the other Hispanic woman who was the first to be a part of the Virginia House of Delegates. And we also have Kathy Tran. She's the first Asian woman elected to the Virginia House of Delegates. In the state of Washington, the city of Seattle elected its first openly lesbian in its history. Her name is Jenny Durkin. It also elected its first openly gay school board member, Zachary DeWolf. And lastly, I want to recognize someone who won re-election. Her name is Stephanie Morales. She is a strong progressive prosecutor who just won re-election in Portsmouth, Virginia. She is literally the only prosecutor in the year 2015 who secured a conviction on a white cop for killing an unarmed black man. Portsmouth. Whew, so there you have it, everyone. Congratulations to all of the winners and all of their supporters and the people who volunteered to help them with their campaigns to get these people seated and elected. Local politics do matter. And in this crazy time, under the leadership of number 45, seeing all of these faces that represent the global majority is inspiring. Let me know if I missed anyone, all right? Mention them in the comments. And with that, we're going to kick it straight to sports. Is that what's happening? All right, we're going to kick it to J. Cole, your resident sports guy.
Welcome back, Prime Sports with J. Cole. You can follow me at JCoeIsIt. First, I want to take a second to congratulate all the people of minority colors and genders who have been elected.
Minority colors? I'm just saying.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Do you, baby?
I'm trying. I want this to serve as a reminder. I hope nobody even heard what happened on stage or what happened on stage. Serve this as a reminder that local politics matter. Your day-to-day life is affected more by what's happening to you locally than by what's happening in the presidency. So let's focus less on the presidency and his idiocy and more on grassroots. That being said, speaking of grassroots, Colin Kaepernick apparently was invited to meet with NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. Now, there are some disputes on what exactly happened when they tried to meet, whether or not there was supposed to be a mediator there. I think at this point there is no meeting set up. However, I will not really be talking about that. The focus to the top story is the fact that mission has been accomplished, mission distraction. We have now officially turned Kaepernick's protest from what he was trying to make it into an NFL problem. With the NFL deciding to meet with all the players to say, what can we do? And trying to meet with Colin Kaepernick to say, what can we do? They have taken on this issue themselves, and now it is consolidated. It is in this small vacuum of the NFL, as opposed to the actual social injustice that Kaepernick was trying to call attention to. What can the NFL do about cops killing unarmed black people? What exact power do they have over that issue? What can they do except for placate their inmates so that they don't kneel during the national anthem and piss off a bunch of white fans? Not a whole lot. So I want us to refocus at this time on the actual reason that Kaepernick was kneeling. Don't get involved in the discussion about the NFL. Don't get involved in the discussion about whether or not it's disrespectful to kneel or do this to the flag or that to the anthem. Let your discussion be focused on black people are dying at the hands of white cops with no repercussions whatsoever. I don't know how to transition out of that. I feel passionately about this, and this is why I've brought up this subject multiple times on Prime Sports. But every time I'm tweeting or I'm talking about it, I'm not talking about what disrespect is going on. I'm talking about the issue because Kaepernick, the whole reason he did this was because he saw something wrong going on in the world, and he wanted to call attention to it. Moving on, speaking of something wrong in the world, ESPN reportedly will be engaging in another huge round of cuts. They will be cutting supposedly behind and in front of the camera. This is going to cause jobs. I'm sure there's a lot of Twitter followers who would love for Jamil Hill to lose her job. Personally, I don't think it's going to happen. I know Ravo's pulling for her. However, what I would like to address in this is, how did we get here? ESPN is the worldwide leader in sports, correct? Not anymore. They have become so big and bloated. They have become so focused on certain things. They are pushing their agendas. They are investing way too much into the NFL, as I spoke with actually the Reggie Mathis about this earlier. They have invested in television and went all in. This is a TV station that was on the cutting edge of sports for years, that they were the leader. They truly were. That worldwide leader moniker was well-earned and well-deserved. And now they're falling behind to people like FCN, for example, and others like us. So ESPN, I hope that anyone who does lose their job does realize FCN is always looking for talent. We are where it's at. Hashtag We the Five, all right? Recruiting now. And in our final story, I wanted to highlight a British judo expert, the son of Olympic bronze medalist Dennis Stewart. Elliot Stewart has grown up around the sport, loves it, but has lost his sight. He was an Olympic hopeful, and instead of backing down and giving up, Elliot decided he was going to continue to fight. The one thing about judo, I'm not sure if you realize, people may think of it as karate, but it is mostly a grappling sport. So if you have the right instinct, if you have a lot of training, you can, without sight, defeat someone in the sport of judo. So I just wanted to congratulate Elliot in not letting this stop him from pursuing his dream. He does still actually teach. He is the head instructor at a family dojo in Great Britain. So Elliot, I just want to say congratulations to you. I looked and I tried to find what ethnicity him and his father was. There was nothing listed in there, but he is not obviously a white person. One drop rule, exactly. Well, he's got multiple drops. He is in England, so he is in England. So to them, this guy is.
I put that shit on everything.
On everything. He a G. Know what I mean? Yo, he actually is cousins to NWA from what I heard. Rumor has it. So, yes, and I don't have a graphic, but I did want to just mention, because I always try to mention my favorite sport, baseball, I just want to say RIP to Roy Halladay. He was a pitcher that I watched for the 16 years he was in the major leagues. He was an excellent, skilled pitcher. He did die in a plane crash. We did post on Instagram earlier this week. He was flying his own plane. Why he decided to do that, there was nobody else in the plane with him from all the investigations. So something went wrong, and it was a tragic end. He was only 40 years old. Now, J. Cole, because he's a little chilly in the studio, is going to go get his Kroger jacket, put that on, and we will be going to Ravo with Pop Culture in a minute. Thank you all for tuning in.
Good evening, everyone. This is The Revolution, and you are watching FCN's Prime News. I am your pop culture anthropologist with a few stories to hurry up and wrap this up so we can get ready to broadcast FCN's scandalous show starring Starla K. Mathis here on FCN. Did you guys like the way I did that? That was a promo.
That was beautiful.
You like that, the Reggie Mathis? Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes. Anyway, let's get to our stories tonight. My very first story, man, it is a bad day for sexual harassers, assaulters. White boys in Hollywood is taking all the L's. Woo! The next name on the survey said, "Where's Steve Harvey at?" So who you gonna have on this list here? Louis C.K. Show me Louis C.K. Number 2, you gonna pay or you gonna pass? Oh, they gonna play. Ladies and gentlemen, Louis C.K. has joined the great handful of people who have sexually harassed, assaulted, unwanted any and everything to women in the last several months, probably starting with Bill Cosby.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
probably.
would say that's the start.
Probably another comedian, mind you. So Louis C.K. has a independent film that he has scheduled called I Love You, Daddy, about a daughter, a 17-year-old daughter, who falls in love with a 68-year-old man played by John Malkovich. Yeah. And in this film, there was talk about masturbation and child rape for jokes. Anyone that knows Louis C.K. knows how his humor goes. He actually did a bit like that on Saturday Night Live in their opening monologue in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So, allegations came out. The New York Times was getting ready to run a story, and all of a sudden, Aspen Film Festival canceled the film debut, and he had to pull out of an interview with Stephen Colbert on the Late Show. Here is an excerpt from the actual New York Times article. In 2002, Chicago comedy duo Dana Min Goodman and Julia Wolf. Where do white people find these names at, man? I just want to say this, though. All these white people with these crazy names, I thank you for not participating in slavery. Okay? Smith family, the Williams, the Jacksons, all y'all can burn in hell. Shout out to the Goodman, and Wolf family. Shout out for not participating in human trafficking. They landed their big break and chance to perform at the U.S. Comedy Arts Festival in Aspen, Colorado, when Louis C.K. invited them to hang out in his hotel room for a nightcap after the show. They did not think twice. The bars were closed and they wanted to celebrate. He was a comedian they admired. The women would be together, so they thought everything would be fine. As soon as they sat down in his room, still wrapped in their winter jackets and hats, Louis asked if he could take out his penis. Said the women, hey, before you guys get comfortable, how about I whip out some meat?
That's always a question.
Okay, see? I'm not fooling with you, D. Reggie Mathis. They thought it was a joke, of course, and laughed it off. And he said it, and Ms. Goodman said in an interview with the New York Times, he proceeded to take all of his clothes off and get completely naked and started masturbating. In front of these women. Not only did he masturbate in front of them, they tried to leave, and he blocked the door. And so they could not get out until he finished.
He blocked the door, penis out.
Fully naked. Until he finished. Yes. What's scariest about this whole story is the New York Times just published this today. You want to know that Gawker, an internet news company, beat them to the punch in this story 2 years ago in 2015, and it got zero traction.
Yes. Wow. We can tell what the topic of the day is. That's what gets played.
That's what gets played. So yeah, Louis C.K. Is gonna join Kevin Spacey in the Walmart 99-cent dumpster bin of shame. Congrats. Now, on to some goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, Marvel released a plethora. Y'all like that word?
I love that word.
Plethora. Marvel released a plethora of the... Spit almost choked me. That was excitement spit. I'm so happy. Marvel released the cast of the Black Panther film's new posters singling out each character from the film. They are absolutely stunning. They're celebrating the beauty of all the Wakandan people and the characters and all that melanated brown skin. Yes, especially when they get to my baby. I don't care how old she is. Listen. Angela Baby Cakes Bassett is 1,026 years old.
Yes.
She is actually an immortal vampiress.
Yes.
She's a vampiress. And she makes some of you 30-somethings look like 99-cent Walmart bin rubbish.
The ageless wonder.
Oh, she's ageless. If you all haven't seen them, take a quick peek real quick. These are some of my favorites. Run them.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
The lighting on this is amazing.
Look at it. That is some brilliant photography.
Yes, it is.
Look at the costuming. Yes. Look like, oh, my God. Who is excited? D. Reggie Mathis, how excited are you for Black Panther?
I can't be more excited. I almost jizzed in my pants.
Oh my God. Okay. Please tell me that you're not standing in front of the door right now and I'm not going to be able to get out of the studio. Please let me out of the studio. I want to break free. Yeah.
You're going to be able to get out.
Okay, I'll be able to get out. Super. Here's the thing though, right? So I was actually in a conversation on Twitter with a few people that I know on Twitter, and the conversation came up, and it was asked, let's ask this question: what if the Black Panther happens to be trash, right? And so we were like, it's not gonna happen, right? But then we talked about the box office and what to see. One young man said that he thinks it's gonna hit $1 billion. And one of 3 Black Geeks, actually page 3 Black Geeks, shout out to 3 Black Geeks, they actually said 800 million. I agree with it. But here's the thing for me. I'm a little worried about the foreign market.
Yeah.
Foreign markets have not been really kind to the U.S. export of Black talent.
No. Not if it ain't with a ball attached to it.
Absolutely. Here's something that I wanted to share with you. Probably one of our biggest grossing films recently, Hidden Figures. $25 million budget. It grossed $169 million domestic. That's huge. That's huge. 3 Black females led this film. Is huge, right? Foreign market, $65 million. $65 million. $65 million. And the biggest people who enjoyed this film were the UK with $7 million and Australia with $13 million. Mind you, China is nowhere to be seen in this film.
Oh man, and for Disney, China is a big deal.
That's their market.
China's a big deal.
That's how they get those, $400, $500, $600 million foreign grosses. So I think that in America, I think Black Panther is easily gonna gross $400 million, just like Wonder Woman. I said it here several weeks ago on this here show. I still believe that Black Panther is going to gross that. I am a little concerned about the foreign market. People are telling me not to worry, but I do, and with good reason.
And with good reason. With good evidence from the past.
Yes. So, I mean, China still tells a toothpaste called Darky.
Yeah.
With a Sambo-like black man smiling on the toothpaste. Nevertheless, hey, what about that Black Panther? I am the Revolution, and you're watching FCN Prime News. This has been Pop Culture. Find me, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere as The Revolution. Like, share, follow Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. All things the Fifth Column Network. Take it away, Chesney.
All right, guys, so that'll be a wrap of FCN Prime News. Make sure you stay tuned to the Scandal pregame show. I just saw the rundown. Today's title of the show will be Snitches Get Stitches. So you definitely do not want to miss Starla K. Mathis and her two guests, Gabby and Ebony, tonight as they drink wine and talk recaps and predictions for tonight's episode. So with that, we will see you next time, guys. Have a good one.